Dear ladies and gentlemen, greetings from Leipzig to the Future of Mobility Congress. Thank you very much for inviting me to say a few words. I would like to split my short speech into two parts. As president of the European Network of Cities, Eurocities, and second as mayor of the city of Leipzig. As a European network, Eurocities represents the engine rooms of our Europe, the cities. They are the engine of development, living space for millions of people, cultural centers, places of science, and much more. Millions of people live in high density in these conurbations and move around. Public space is living space, cultural space, and simply home to people. The way we design and divide up our shared public space shapes the way we live together. I'm sure all cities face similar or identical challenges in designing our public spaces fairly. Three trends will shape the evolution of mobility in our cities: decarbonization, demand, and digitalization. A European Green Deal should encompass and shape these trends if we are to achieve our vision. The cities of today face challenges of climate change, air pollution, traffic accidents, noise, accessibility, and managing urban space, among others. Only through collaboration between all levels of government can we deliver solutions that meet our citizens' expectations for a better future and provide a just transition. Our vision as Eurocities for mobility in our cities is one focused on people. We aim for a future in which people live and move in a healthy environment. Our expectation is that people take part in an inclusive society and progress in a prosperous local economy. We believe that city authorities must address global challenges. To achieve these, our network proposes the following key recommendations of the EU institutions. Bring forth measures to ensure the EU transport sector is compliant with 2050 net zero carbon emission pathways. Expand and strengthen measures that avoid and shift mobility demand in the EU. And engage with cities to harness digitalization as an enabling framework for the decarbonization of transport and the management demand. As mayor of Leipzig, I have the challenge of managing mobility and the design of public spaces in a city that is experiencing rapid growth as the fastest growing city in Germany. Over the past 15 years, our city has grown from nearly 500,000 inhabitants to over 630,000 people. Over 1.5 million people now live in the greater Leipzig area. With our SAMP Mobility Strategy Leipzig 2030, we are pursuing the goal of a modal split of 70% of all journeys in the Environmental Alliance. Hundreds of individual measures with a volume of over 1.5 billion euros are intended to ensure that we reduce the use of private cars to 30% of all journeys in favor of public transport, walking and cycling. For me personally, 8 goals guide my action. First, we must largely give public space back to the people on foot, the young and the elderly, families, people with and without disabilities. Public spaces and open spaces in the city are too precious to be parked up or reserved exclusively for motorized traffic. We need more courage to try out new open space concepts with people, to activate neighborhoods and to make urban spaces more lively. Let's give the city back to the people. Second, health and safety must take priority. Our city is so densely populated that almost all the houses on even the busiest arterial roads have now been renovated and rented out. With the measures in the noise action and clean air plans, we have to protect the people on these roads, often those on lower incomes without their own car, from the immense pollution that mainly comes from car traffic. Third, Our climate targets can only be achieved with a transport transition towards sustainability. In order to achieve the goals of the Paris Climate Agreement, cities must also make their contribution. As a city, we will only achieve this by changing mobility behavior and creating more space for green areas and climate islands. Traffic is responsible for around a quarter of greenhouse gas emissions in Leipzig. We want to reduce it over 40% in 10 years. Fourth, pedestrian belongs at the center of urban planning. The quality of urban spaces is best perceived on foot. A child and family-friendly city is always also a pedestrian-friendly city. We have a lot of catching up to do here. Our sidewalks are often in a very poor condition, are parked on, or are too narrow. We need a strolling offensive and clear sanctions for sidewalk parkers. Fifth, public transport is the backbone of our mobility and must be further strengthened. With public transport, we have a strong backbone of our urban mobility that we want to strengthen further. That is why we are investing massively in new vehicles and new infrastructure. We will have to develop new routes with new tangents and tunnels. The connections between the urban core and rural areas must be strengthened. Sixth, we need a comprehensive, safe and extensive network of cycle paths. Around 20% of all journeys in our city are already made by bike. The bikes is the cheapest and most sustainable means of transportation. It's absurd to claim that we are only making transport policy for cyclists. No, we are now catching up step by step on what is needed. We are closing gaps, creating our own safe cycle paths, cycle lanes. In short, we are making a fairer distribution of traffic space. Seventh, and yes, we also need strong functional arterial roads for the car and commercial traffic if we do not want to be left behind in the competition between cities. It goes without saying that we need strong functional traffic arteries for motor vehicle traffic, for commercial traffic, for trade and industry, for deliveries, logistics, and also for individual transportation. Eighth, let us focus together on people in their living environment and therefore seek together the best for the common good. Let us think big and forward together and not small and against each other. A little more consideration for each other and the courage to make changes will do us all good. Let's look ahead to how we can make our city fairer, more sustainable and more mobile for everyone. Let's look ahead to how we can give people back their living space and make the city vibrant. Let's put the quality of life in our city at the center of our urban development and not focus on traffic. So, ladies and gentlemen, the mobility transition and the redistribution of our public spaces are a long-term task. For over 100 years, we have subordinated our cities to the mobility promise of the car and must realize that we are heading for a dead-end road. Our densely populated cities cannot cope with even more cars. The quality of life suffers from traffic. I would like to thank you as experts for networking internationally and exchanging ideas on how we can redesign mobility in our cities to make it more human. You are building the cities of the future. I wish you every success in the coming days and strength for our common rocky path. Your Burkhard Jung.